Most citrine sold in shops is not natural citrine at all, it is heat-treated amethyst. Citrine and amethyst are both quartz varieties. That shared mineral base is why one can be turned into the other's color range. Heat changes the amethyst's color. The purple shifts into the yellow-orange look people associate with citrine. After treatment, the stone looks like citrine even though it started as amethyst. The market name follows the appearance, not the original color. Natural citrine does exist, but much of the commercial stone is a transformed quartz crystal. A simple label can hide that change inside the gem. Researchers found a new antibiotic by accident while studying soil bacteria. Soil holds huge numbers of microbes, and many of them make chemical defenses to compete with each other. While researchers were studying those bacteria, one sample showed antibiotic activity they had not set out to find. That accidental signal pointed to a compound worth following up in the lab. A routine soil sample became evidence that the ground itself can hide medicine. A women's association in Japan used linens hung out to dry to monitor pollution from a nearby power station. Cloth outdoors is easy to inspect because it catches whatever the air leaves behind. A plain sheet becomes a surface for comparison. Near the power station, the fabrics showed a visible sign that the environment had changed. The laundry worked as a simple detector, not a lab instrument. That made a household task into a practical way to notice air pollution. The change was visible on something people already handled every day. Instead of a meter, the association had a line of laundry. The fabric itself became the record of what the air was doing. Optical physicist Franklin Dollar grew up on a Native American reservation without electricity or running water. That kind of childhood shaped a path built from limited infrastructure and strong curiosity. Optics is the branch of physics that studies light and how it behaves with matter and instruments. In optics, researchers measure and control visible, ultraviolet, and infrared light. That means working with beams, lenses, detectors, and other instruments that guide electromagnetic radiation. Dollar later entered a field where tiny changes in light can be measured with extreme precision. The contrast is striking. A home without basic utilities and then a career centered on controlling light. His story shows that a science career can begin far from the laboratory and still reach the tools used to study light itself. The starting point was limited, but the destination was a field built on measurement. A large carnivorous dinosaur at Copper Ridge may have been limping, and the clue is a single fossil track. It was not a skeleton but a footprint preserved in stone. Tracks can record how an animal placed its weight while moving. If one side of a track differs from the other, the animal may have loaded its legs unevenly. That uneven pattern can point to a limp, even without bones. That turns the footprint into evidence of movement, not just presence. A brief problem in the stride can survive long after the animal is gone. At Copper Ridge, one track can preserve a moment of uneven walking. It is a small mark with a large story about how that dinosaur moved. Bienor is a very long space centaur, not a planet or a star. Its shape is the first thing that sets it apart. A centaur object is a small body in the outer solar system. It sits in a category with mixed asteroid-like and comet-like traits. Bienor stands out because it is unusually elongated. In other words, it is stretched into a long shape instead of a round one. That length changes how Bienor is recognized. Its shape becomes the main clue that it is a centaur object. So even in the outer solar system, a small body's form can be the whole story. Bienor is memorable because its unusual shape is so extreme. The Archives of the Impossible is a special collection focused mainly on UFOs and paranormal research. An archive gathers materials and preserves them for study, instead of letting them vanish into rumor or memory. Here, the unusual subject is not the stories themselves, but their place inside a research collection. That makes Fringe reports organized material. Once preserved, the reports can be compared, revisited, and examined as part of a larger record. That turns extraordinary claims into historical material people can study later, on a shelf instead of in passing conversation. Halfway through writing The Take Charge Patient, its author became a patient herself. The book focuses on how patients can take part in their own care, not just receive instructions. That meant the writing and the reality overlapped during the same months, while the book was still taking shape. The subject of the book and the author's own experience suddenly matched in real time. That overlap turned patient advocacy from an idea on the page into a lived medical situation.